Hey guys, it's Nikki from Still Moments Nursery. I just wanted to take you through how I do my creases on my Reborn doll kits using the Real Effects Air Dry paints. I'm going to use the Aubergine Real Effects Air Dry paint because it's a nice rich dark colour and it gives a nice sort of shadowing effect to the creases. And of course I've got my matte lac to make the paint stick to the vinyl and my little bottle of distilled water. I've also got my normal paint mixing tray. I've got a little sponge that I can, you can either use the sponge or the 1-inch maxi mop to take and spread the paint around if your line is too thick, and I'll show you how to do that. I've just got my little mixing brush to mix the paint, and I've got my fine pointer brush because you don't want to use a thick brush because you want to get nice thin crease lines and then you can blend it out. So I'm going to use my little fine liner, the same one that I use for my veining and any other little finer details like milk pimples and things like that. So I use that a lot in my reborning. So what I'm going to do first is just add in a couple of drops of my distilled water, and again you don't want too much, so sort of about 8 to 9 sort of drops. And then you want your aubergine. And I normally grab just the paint from the lid because I find it is enough. So I'll just grab just a little bit from the cap, just like that. And then I will mix that in. And I want a little bit more, but I'm going to rinse off my brush. Let's dry it off. And just get a little bit more. And mix that in. And don't forget to put your lids back on your paints, otherwise they will dry out. And you're wanting about the same consistency that you did your veins with. So I normally test by sort of just wiping a line and seeing if it holds its line or if it runs, or if it's a really dark line, then I need to water it down a little bit more. But that's sort of giving me a nice little line that I can work with. As you can see, the line's holding, it's not running or anything like that. So I'm quite happy with that mix. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to rinse off my brush and just dry it off. And I'm going to add in just double the amount of matte lac to paint. So just a little bit, or double. And then mix that in really well. And there's the paint mix all ready for the creases. So I'm done with my mixing brush, so I'll just wash that off in water so the paint doesn't dry on the bristles and makes the brush all nice and stiff. And then just dry it off and set it aside. And then I'll show you on the little arm first. I know I normally start sort of either on the back of the hand, and I'll do sort of these little creases in between the fingers, because if my mix is too dark, I can sort of blend it out, but it'll give a nice real dark effect, because in the little of the fingers is where sort of the other darker points. So I'll just gather my paint, so just mix it round a little bit and just dab it off. And then I'll just, like I said, I'll start just in the middle. You can just keep going back over it until you sort of see that the darkness coming up. And you can see that's getting quite dark in there. And then I'm just going to come through either with your 1 inch or the little sponge, depending on sort of what you prefer, and just sort of just blend that out just a little bit. And that gets rid of any sharp lines, because you don't want any sharp lines. And there you go, you can sort of see the depth between the little fingers there. So then I'll move on, I'll flip over the hand and I'll do exactly the same on the side, on the little fingers. So just bring it round and just darken those little bits. And the more you wipe over it, the darker the colour will become, which is one of my favourites about using the air dry paints, is you can slowly build them up, and sort of as they dry, you can just keep adding to it until you're sort of happy with the colour, and then you set it aside to dry, and then come back in sort of 10 to 15 minutes, or if you want to set it completely, leave it 3 days to dry. And then you can come back. I prefer my 1 inch, like I said, and just blend out any of those sharp lines. And there you go, you can sort of see it's starting to give a nice dark effect. And then I'll move on and I'll do the little creases in the hand. This is a Bonnie Brown doll kit too, which is an absolutely adorable preemie. And her hand, as you can see, is just so cute. So I'll just come down the middle of her hand. And you can really see when you're highlighting the lines, it sort of brings the kit to life. Once you're happy, you just come over and blend it out. And you can see the little hands is getting a little bit darker in those creases. And like I said, you can come back and you can go over them. And once you've added like your flesh coats and you've done your mottling, you can keep adding to those lines, which will create a darker effect. So there's a little hand done. And I'll do a little fingers, so the little bits in between each knuckle. So you just, and it's really easy when you've got a nice fine pointed brush, because it just folds into those creases. You don't get any lines overlapping, which is good. And especially if the creases are nice and deep, it's a lot easier. And it also helps to give them depth as well. It's just a matter of going over each little line. You can come back over to sort of darken the ones that you've already done. And then as you can see, I haven't done this little finger here, but as you can see, sort of compared to it, how sort of more realistic those creases are, and they sort of stand out a lot more. And then once you get the little pink fingertips done, they'll stand out even more. But there you go, you can sort of see. So I'll just finish off this hand, and then I'll move on to the face, and I'll show you how I do my creasing on the face. I just want to finish off the little lines. If you've got too much paint, again, you can come back and just dab off. And then come back and sort of fill in. And a little thumb. And there's the first lot of creasing that I'll do on the hand. And like I said, I'll come back and I'll do more. I'll do these ones later on, but it's exactly the same way. I like to do a little bit of mottling so then I can see how dark my creases need to be up on the arm and sort of on the forearm there. So there's her little hand done. I'll just hang it up on my little rack to dry. And that way it's not being touched sort of on any paper towel or toweling, and it could dry without being disturbed. And then I'll move on to my little face, which is, this is the Daisy doll kit, so she's a little gorgeous preemie. So I'll do her creases. I'm going to start off, I normally do the creases in the eyes to start with. So I'll gather my paint, just give it a good mix around because it's been sitting for a while, so you just want to give it a good mix, make sure all the pigments and the matte lacquer still combined. And then I'll just start off by doing the middle of the eye and working my way out. And I'll do one side of the eye. I'll leave the other side so you can sort of see the difference and see the depth that you can get. So there's a little line under her eyelid there, so I'll just highlight that. And down on her little cheek there, I'll just highlight that a little bit. You don't want to make that one too dark because it will stand out just a little bit. And then I'm just going to dab off with my 1-inch maxi mop. And I'm just going to come back in again and just darken up that eyelid. And there's a little bit of a vein or a line going on the top of her little forehead. Just up there. And just before that dries, I'll just dab off with my brush just to blend it. And in the corner of the nose as well, use a nice deep crease, so you want to highlight that as well. So just get in there and go in towards the nose is the best way that I find to do it. Out and then sort of flick it in to the nostril, and that way that any paint that goes into the nostril you can sort of just blend it in, and that also helps to darken the little nostril. With her little nostrils, they're quite deep as well, so there's no need to open them. If you open the nose, it all depends on the artist, but I like to get the depth with paint. You can also back it with a little bit of felt, even if you don't open the nose, because it will create a darkness behind the nose and the little mouth, so it will actually give a little bit more depth. So you could do that as well. So I'll just go back in and fill in the nostril. And I'm just going to pounce it out a little bit, just to blend any bits of paint on the outside of her nose. And you can see it's gotten a lot darker compared to this one, because I didn't do the other side, and her little eye as well. So I haven't done this one, so you can see it's gotten a lot darker under her eyelid and sort of between her little top and bottom eye. So I'll just go and do the other side, because you don't want to do two different mixes. You want to have one mix for the whole head, otherwise your creases will be different colours and different depths. So try and sort of finish off a doll using the same mix. I'll just come in just like I did the other side, and I'll go from the inside to the outside. And she's got a little line down there, so I'll just highlight that. And there's a little fine crease under her eyelid, so I'm just going to highlight that just like the other side. And just a bit on her top of her eye. And just blend that out. Because that was a little bit too strong, so just blending it out. I'm just going to come back in and just blend in her eyelids. And then same as I did with her little nostril. So I'm going to come from the outside and I'm going to sort of flick it into the little nostril. And then I'm just going to fill in the nose with the paint. And then just blend it out again, just to make sure there's no sharp lines. So there's the little nose, and as you can see it's a lot darker, and her eyes. So you can do the same to the ears and all these little creases down here using the same mix. So both of her ears can be done. So with the lips you can actually apply the same colour to the first sort of pink on the lips. But anyway guys, I'm going to do a tutorial on how to paint the little lips so you can sort of see how the colours built up using not only one colour but sort of 3 to 4 colours. So I'll be doing that once, probably on this little Bonnie doll kit, because her lips are just so gorgeous. So she's got nice big preemie pouty lips, so they're going to be fun to paint. So we'll probably do the tutorial on this little one. So I'll just hang that up to dry, and then I can come back and I'll do her mottling and all her finer details once that's dry. So there you go guys, that's how I do my creases on my Reborn dolls. I'll do probably 2 or 3 layers of the creases using the Aubergine Real Effects paints. For those of you who are wanting the Aubergine paint to do their creases, I'll put a link in the descriptions bar below for that product. But yeah guys, I hope you thought it was interesting and useful for those who have requested it many times, so I'm sorry I didn't get to it earlier, but there you go, that's how I do my creases using the air dry paint. So like I said, I hope you guys thought it was useful, and look out for more tutorials coming up soon. But anyway guys, thanks for watching, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye!